following program may contain coarse language, suggestive dialogue, and discussion of violent imagery and sexual situations. It is intended for mature listeners who can tell the difference between facts and opinions.
We ain't got no time for bird sex on this episode of the Tsunami Faithful Podcast. I am your host, Sketch, and with me I have...
Yo, I'm Streaming Steven, heading up the stream.
And bringing up the rear.
Your wonderful data monkey Colt, who doesn't really do a whole lot of that anymore.
Because we ain't got no data.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Curious. I'm very curious how well Rooster Fighter's doing, but I'm sure it's doing well. All things considered.
More than likely.
Yeah, it's us three this week. Once again, scheduling complications have complicated. But we will carry on as we talk about Rooster Fighter, Dawn to Dawn, and Blue Lock. And because we already covered that one episode of Dawn to Dawn back in January, we're only going to talk about episode 2 for the most part. So yeah. Let's start things off with the Rooster Fighter. When last we left our chickens, they were running after Pyoko, who has been captured by a cat in a very cat-type moment. And Keiji does point out that he has very good sense of smell. So he's sure that they're on the right trail. And they do. They find the cat right after Pyoko manages to get out of the cat's mouth and kind of hide in a hole. And KG shows up and is like, all right, you got to give me that little chick back. And the cat's like, no, that's my prey. It's like, okay, guess we're going to have to fight for it. And then Elizabeth speaks up when a bunch of little kittens enter the scene asking their mommy. And she's like, oh, were you trying to feed your young? Yeah. Oh, how about this? I have a little bit of food, and then you don't have to take the chick. Like, oh, that sounds good. Now, I don't know about the rest of you, but I really wasn't expecting her to just produce an egg right then and there.
Yeah, I was assuming she had, like, something else on her, and I was like, nope, I'm just gonna lay an egg right now. Okay,
Just gonna lay an egg. And it was unfertilized, so you don't have to worry about it. PETA approved. But she does mention that she can't eat eggs, or she doesn't eat eggs, so before it would have just gone to waste. Well, we don't want to waste food. And the kittens are more than happy to slurp down that egg. So yeah, Kitty gets some food, but Elizabeth notices that this is a house cat. This is a domesticated cat. So why didn't the owner feed her? Well, it seems everybody in the village, at least all the adults, are all digging holes feverishly. Digging holes. Maybe looking for something. But we don't know. And the kids ended up being rounded up in a shack, and they're all together in a shack. Not that many kids in this village. Like a handful, really. 4? Was it 4? I think it was 4.
Like 4 to 6 of them.
Yeah. So the kids, they managed to get out, but it's not long before they're about to be rounded up again by the corrupt police officer who's basically been making sure status quo in this town stays as it is, not allowing anybody to come help. But in the moment, he's about to do I don't know what to these kids, at least round them up. But thankfully, Elizabeth shows up and shocks the son of a gun.
Doesn't kill.
Hooray.
Just
Hooray, hooray. So the kids go back to what's the main kid's name again? Sen? Say?
think it was Say.
Say. You don't say. I really wasn't trying to set that up. So they go back to Say's house and he cooks them up chicken flavored ramen with little hot dogs. And the kids are so happy to finally have some food because they've been starving for days. And Elizabeth has been able to communicate by using her smartphone and doing text to speech. Clever girl.
Nobody questions, and nobody questions this.
You know,
It's just the
they
chicken can use a smartphone.
they do this in hoppers, but in hoppers it's actually a human inside of an animal doing it, so it makes a little bit more sense. But yeah, I just find it interesting that happened twice this year. Go ahead, say the line.
I have 2 nickels.
But it's weird that it happened more than once. Yeah. Hoppers is really good. People should see that. So she's communicating to the kids, trying to find out what's the deal with all the adults digging holes. And they say that there's this demon that's telling everyone to dig holes. And they're like, okay, tell us about this demon. And Say is kind of dodgy about it. And I think all of us are already like, he knows something. He definitely knows something. But they find out a little bit about the demon, where he's located, and Elizabeth is getting all gung-ho. Is like, all right, we're going to go defeat that demon tomorrow. And KG's like, nah, I don't care. He has nothing to do with my revenge quest. And Elizabeth is quite put off by this, that he does not care about his fellow beings. But then KG gets super duper horny. Like maximum ridiculously horny. There's this whole vision of what he calls the Lord of the Ruts appearing, and this is something that happens to him once or twice a year. And I've been told that the amount of sex that KG has some plot relevance, and I feel like this is getting to that.
Plot relevance.
And yeah, so he's like, oh, this is terrible timing. What am I going to do? Wait, there's a ladybird here. So he tries to... He's not smooth. He's not smooth at all in this instance. He tries to get behind Elizabeth, and she ain't gonna have none of that. There ain't no time for bird sex. No time for bird. But KG is clearly just losing it. Just like, wait, how about if you fight that demon tomorrow, then I can help you out with your problem. And he's like, okay. But does that mean I have to wait until tomorrow to deal with my problem? Mm-hmm. And he bites his own wing to try and calm himself. And he ends up having to sleep on the toilet alone while everybody else is like, I mean, thank goodness, man. He's way too horny. And I don't think he's going to do anything to Pyoko. And Elizabeth isn't going to let him do anything. But dude is way too horny.
So horny he can't sleep.
Horny bird. I didn't sleep a wink on that toilet. So the next morning, Say's already gone, and they're all wondering, oh, where'd he go? And then they're like, hey, wait a minute. you know something, don't you? He's like, well, yeah. The demon's actually Say's father. Of course. Of course he is. And we see Say visiting the demon, who has enough zippers to be a Kingdom Hearts character. He wants
That was a good one.
He wants to talk to his dad, which is zipped up in there somewhere. And the demon's like, all right, we can talk to your dad. And he's like, Say, don't you understand? Soon all of my dreams will come true. And then Say's like, no, I don't care about any of that stuff. Just make it all stop. He's like, I see. Very well. Zips back up. Doesn't want to hear it. But then the chickens arrive and they fight the demon, who's got many, many zippers. And Elizabeth knows, oh, those are like zipped up purses. You get it? You get it? You get it? Because this guy's so obsessed with money. In the backstory, we see that he was a drunken bum, wouldn't get a regular job, despite what his son insisted. And one day he stumbles upon like a treasure map telling him that there was tons of riches buried somewhere in this area. And he just becomes obsessed with digging holes, and all the neighbors are like, come on, man, you gotta stop digging holes. And then he gets so obsessed with it that the little boil on the back of his head turns him into a demon. Because that's what happens in this show. And then he can control everybody else and makes them do the digging. So that's the deal with all the people digging feverishly. And a fight. It's a cool fight. He's pretty creative use of all of the open zipper pouches. But eventually, they manage to defeat the demon, and he kind of spits back out Say's father. And Keiji tries to get his reward. And Elizabeth ain't gonna have none of that. Which, hey, you go back on your word. That's not cool. You are cock blocking and going against your own word. It's not okay. But I get it. I understand where she's coming from. So now he's furious. Just furious. And he wanders over to the father, and the father is, not quite in sorts yet. And he starts screaming at him with like a sound wave scream. And it's clearly hurting him. And then Say jumps up and is like, no, please don't hurt my dad. And Keiji just keeps going at it. And then the man finally pushes his son aside and says, please, I know I'm trash, but please don't kill my son, my precious boy. And I guess this is his tough love moment where Keiji was trying to get the guy to learn a lesson. And then Elizabeth shows, I wouldn't say interest, but like she commends him for doing a good thing. And he's like, all right, this is my chance. So he tries again and fails again. And then in a move that's very amusing considering Don to Don's back on the block, got him right in the balls. And ooh, that noise he made. I was watching like a compilation of One Piece clips, and it is very similar to the sound Patrick Seitz made when Robin was gripping Frankie's balls. I mean, I guess he's got that in his back pocket.
Only you would find that out, Sketch. That's a fantastic fact.
I know. It's entirely like it's random because I was just watching some guy reacting to One Piece clips, trying not to smile at them. He smiled. He smiled at a lot. He smiled particularly at them all being knocked out at Thriller Bark, and Usopp says, "There's a beautiful swordswoman and she's carrying meat." And
Yeah.
they all get up. They like it just cracked up so much of that. It's like, yeah. Yeah, definitely funny stuff. Funny stuff. I forgot to mention Pyoko gets mind controlled briefly and starts the dirt. So when she snaps out of it, she's like, why does my beak taste like dirt? Funny show. Funny show. And another really amusing moment is when the kids are in the room and KG's super horny trying to get with Elizabeth, and the older kids put their hands over the younger kids' eyes because they understand. They understand what's going on. Yeah. So onward to the next journey. But there was apparently some guy that just filmed this whole thing, and that's probably going to be a problem. They didn't have an opening or an ending on this episode.
Yeah, that was strange. It didn't have that. I mean,
You wouldn't expect that on episode 4, but
yeah.
I guess they just needed the extra time to. So, Colt, what do you think of Rooster Fighters so far? Okay. Steven, what did you think of this episode of Rooster Fighter?
You know what? That's what he thought of it. Okay, sounds good, Colt. Uh, I I liked it. I mean, there wasn't anything too much of plot, like, saying how the demons got there. We got little bits of teases, like, it said boil on the back of their head or some, like, pimple they didn't, get or anything. Um, we didn't get too much of that, but we got kind of like I don't
was muted.
it. Do you want to
Go
go,
ahead.
Colt?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Um, it wasn't too much of like an exposition type of thing, which I think we'll maybe get later on. But I mean, for what it was a good episode. Some funny gags. Yeah, KG being horny is funny at times, but I'm struggling to see where the plot will go from that. Otherwise, yeah, it's a cool thing. I do like the designs of the demons. The demon designs are really cool and interesting. It kind of reminds me of the ones I would see on like Kamen Rider or like Super Sentai. They're really interesting of like having one unique thing with them. The zipper is kind of like as you said, a very funny thing. It's not a nod to Kingdom Hearts, but Nomura's got some influence on that demon right there. But
I was gonna make a joke to Zipperman.
yeah, yeah, there you go. I I want to say that the zipper thing is cool of him just zipping like inside. He goes, "Yeah, I'll talk to you." He unzippers himself. He goes, "Let me back in." And the guy's like, "Okay, sure." Like, who's got control of the body at that point? Of
Good
like, is
question.
he given control of it or is it demon? But he's like, "Hey, can you do that?" Then he's like, "Yeah, let me back in. You can zip me up again." Like, what's the dynamic there? How are they like living in that section over there, in that area? Of like, did he give him total control or does he have a little bit of it? But he still wants to see his son. So that does, you know, kind of like free him up a bit. And then that part at the end where he kind of like KG is kind of just yelling in his ear saying, "Hey, you better not do this again. I'll come and get you fully. I'll come and destroy you all away." and not just, part of it. And you can see that KG is controlling it. There is a bit of self-control there, but he does see this love for the son of like maybe he wants that, or I don't know if maybe he wants it. He just, I think, wants, technically, I think he just wants, to get with another, have another one night stand. Because that's what he is. He's a lone rooster on his walk. But yeah, it was a good episode. Not too much in plot, but sometimes you don't need plot.
For this type of a show, no, you don't really need plot.
No, it's just
This is
monster of the week.
this is very much like One Punch Man to me, where it's like it knows what it's doing, it sticks to it, doesn't try to bog you down with too much, and no, I'm loving this. Although I do find it interesting that if the father and the demon were like mentally separated, I'm surprised that the father wouldn't have realized that all the gold that the demon found was buried under the rubble.
I know.
That was like the best part, because it was like, okay, so wait a minute. If the demon knew about it, does the father know? Apparently not. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah, it got buried again, but at least you know where it is now.
Somehow
That
he
was-
doesn't, which is even more hilarious.
That moment when the dude was like, so I found the reaches. I actually thought that was him having a delusion at first, but no, he actually did find it.
Which,
It was
which
actually
is also
there.
which is also even funnier, because when he's hypnotizing them, he never even bothered having them leave the town. It was just in the same holes the entire time. It's like, don't you think you should have them like, go somewhere else and dig?
Yeah. Funny
You
that.
would think they would have found it, and it's like, how many miles away was it from all those holes? Like, you didn't find it there. You weren't thinking, long term of where anything was. That was a couple miles away from any of that.
I'd be curious if the whole the demonification process completely usurps any rational thought at that point, because that's what it feels like. Because it seems like they're insanely targeted toward their anger / emotion at that time frame.
Mhm. And this is the first instance where somebody didn't like really transform themselves. They just kind of got absorbed into a demon.
Yeah, same process, different end result.
Hmm.
And it's the second time the human was technically saved.
Yep. Second time. I mean, it'd be really sad if some of these characters didn't get saved. but-
I'm actually surprised Kenji hasn't actually killed a person at this point.
Hmm.
I'm
take
I'm
much.
actually waiting for that for it to actually showcase him just Fist of the North starring some poor schmuck outside of Demon Form. Just watch the poor bastard's body explode.
That
Didn't he do it
reminds
in the
me.
first one?
Yeah, but I mean that guy was fully demonized at the time.
Mm.
But in this episode, when the purse demon exploded, I was like, "You're already broke."
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you. You told me to go for broke, but I'm already there.
Mm.
Yeah. Another delightful episode of Rooster Fighter with one very horny rooster. See if that becomes a running thing.
You think?
Yay!
You think
The
like
cat was
K-
okay.
Yeah.
Kuro
think, like,
approved.
Do you think like KG will have like all of like kids by the end of it? Like he has to save his kids or something, or it's like, and all of his kids are in like an egg carton because they're not born yet.
Jeez.
I could see that being a plot line to an episode, but I would see that being like Elizabeth dupes him into believing it, sort of thing.
Oh yeah, she dupes him believing all that he has to save the kids because of that. Oh okay.
Yeah. Because
Interesting.
he'd be stupid enough to believe it, and if not that, it'd just be one of those instances where, same as this episode, she offers him sex, and he's just like, "Okay, I'll do it." And it's just like, "God, you're a simpleton," but it works.
Yep. Yep. She offered sexual favors and then took it away. That is stone cold. Well, moving on to Dawn to Dawn, completing our cock and balls hour.
Who were you sitting on that one?
I mean, it's been going around. I have to give credit, I believe, to somebody on the Toonami squad. I think they were the first
Okay.
one to present that concept. Might have been one of the Sams. Yeah. Episode 14 of Dawn to Dawn, The Evil Eye. When last we left things off back in January, a hot spring visit does not go well for Momo, but she escapes and gets back to the house only to find that Okaroon and Gigi are being interrogated by some weird old people. And the matriarch of the family is, no joke, a serious threat. She is very strong and very good at fighting. So she gives Momo a very hard time and knocks her into the newly opened wall where they were having the interrogation on Juju Kaisen. I'll never stop making that joke. Which actually starts sinking in on itself, and everybody ends up down in the hole, and they get way, way down in the and find, unfortunately, these very stupid people have been worshiping a Mongolian death worm that they consider the Great Snake. And bless their hearts, they're the first ones to get eaten.
Yay.
Gotta love it. But now, the kids are down there with the Mongolian death worm. And Momo got knocked out, which means Okaroon is now being infected by the curse. So when we get back to things, Okaroon seems like he's going to be attacking Gigi, but it's soon realized that he's actually trying to kill himself, and then Momo starts to try and kill herself. And Gigi's freaking out, not understanding what's going on. And there's a moment where Momo tries to stab herself with glass, and instead, Granny's in the way. She's like, "This kid just trying to stab me."
Which
Good
makes me
thing
sit there and
she's.
question: Is Turbo Granny a plushie, or was she like a porcelain?
That's a good question.
I would assume
I,
she was porcelain, but
I,
at this point,
I
I question that logic unless she has regeneration powers.
I thought she was porcelain as well.
she probably is porcelain, but how does she move if she's porcelain?
Ghost powers.
Ghost powers. Ghost powers. We don't gotta explain anything. Uh, yeah. So Gigi grabs Okaroon and Momo and tries to get away from the death worm, and that's when another presence appears. This freaky tall figure with a bowl cut, which floats around and eventually puts itself between them and the death worm. And Momo and Okaroon are suddenly okay. And Granny explains that the suicidal tendencies that the vibes of both of these creatures is giving off are getting canceled out at the moment. Well, that's convenient. So they try to run away, and the entity, the evil eye, as Granny calls it, is kind of following Gigi around. And he's like, wait a minute. It wasn't you. You were not the one who harmed my parents, was it? because he's putting into his thought as like, oh, it was the death worm that was doing that, because obviously the death worm can cause that kind of situation. So he's already kind of thinking, well, maybe this spirit's not so bad. But Granny's warning him, no, that's the evil eye. If you look directly at him, you're in trouble. But he doesn't listen to that. And they end up even further down in the hole after Okaroon blows off the head of the worm and it immediately regenerates. And they end up in like a little shack down there. And they find the body of the evil eye, like kind of like the center of where its spirit lies. And we get various flashbacks to what the evil eye experienced through life and also after death. And it's disturbing. It's very disturbing. See this poor little kid just wanting to go out and play, and then it gets sacrificed, I presume, to this death worm all that time ago. Well, actually, no, they burned the kid at the stake.
I think
Which
it's they. I think it's they lock him away, and then he starts starving. Then they start and then they tie him up in front of the volcano where he's then burned alive. But his corpse was, I believe, technically still alive. So then something else happened, and then they started burying the location, which then the family that was guarding the house was building buildings on top of that and reburying them.
Yeah, and that very family is the creepy old people that were just eaten by the death worm recently. Huh, they've been around a long time.
And they're not
So,
good.
yeah. Yeah. Gigi attempts to help the evil eye by going to the original corpse, worrying that Momo and Turbo Granny, Momo and Turbo Granny, as the death worm traps them with slime. Gross. Gigi promises to play with the evil eye to ease his pain. He says, "It's you and me, buddy." And that's when the evil eye says, "You said it." And immediately possesses him, takes over his body, and becomes a very imposing figure. Like this dude giving off Frieza energy.
Good design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, the evil eye does scare off the death worm, but it soon turns its gaze to Momo and Turbo Granny, and things are not looking good until Okaroon rushes in and stops the attack. Good job, Okaroon. And in all of this, it's Granny explains that when when Seiko was telling Momo, or rather telling Gigi, that he's a genius, she wasn't saying that for no reason. He's actually incredibly adept in spiritual power and also physically fit. So he's the perfect vessel for something like the evil eye. And that's why the evil eye in particular has been trying to take over him, which is probably what it was trying to do back when he was living in the house with his family too. But he needed either to get closer or to just have that conversation, willingly let the evil eye in. Now he's possessed and not wearing very much, which I didn't notice this the first time I watched this episode. The figure of the evil eye before it possesses Gigi also was just wandering around in nothing but underwear. So I guess that's just its thing.
Tactical censorship.
I don't think he's naked in the manga. but
Tactical censorship.
I could be wrong.
Let's not think about it. It's just tactical censorship.
Yeah.
Some random ghost floating around his boxers.
Mm-hmm. Now we have the evil eye. And the evil eye is gonna be a long story arc. I will tell you that. Because basically half of this season is figuring out what to do about the evil eye.
Eh,
And this
As long
is
as
just
it-
the beginning.
As long as it's not like Demon Slayer pedantic about it. Which is
Well,
what I liked about the episode, because it literally it explains the evil eye origin story, but it doesn't try to like humanize it. It's just basically, this is what happened, and now we continue. So it's like, oh, I see. It's similar to Acrobatic Silky, where it's like, this is tragic. You didn't need. I mean, you explain just enough to make people understand it and make their own opinions, and you don't go overboard by trying to humanize it.
mm-hmm. True.
So it's actually really nice, because like you're having multiple angles in which Okarun and the team have to fight, but you're also being given just enough of an explanation to understand what's going on while still maintaining the awesome fight dynamic. That, and Rita fucking Repulsa, bro. God, that was such a good pick.
She really is. She's so much fun in that dub. Such a phenomenal dub. No, no surprise. Another banger by Alex Von David.
It's like,
He
just
never
like,
misses.
even in season 1, it was just like, oh my god, just this is a perfect casting for Turbo Granny. Just how do you? No, there's no one else. It's just Rita Repulsa.
It's certainly amusing to me when I do watch in Japanese that it's the voice of Monkey D. Luffy, Mayumi Tanaka. But Barbara Goodson, just an inspired choice. It's so fun to hear her say such awful, awful things.
Yes, exactly. It's this is what she probably would have said in Power Rangers if it wasn't being toned down.
If it wasn't written for children.
Basically, yeah.
And she still gets to scream about teenagers.
Yeah. God, it's such a perfect cast.
Indeed, indeed. And man, Alex Von David, just he brings out the best in all of these actors, and he does the scripts, so it's all really good. And Alex Lay playing Gigi, all these sides of Gigi, because now we've got the goofy goober Gigi, and now we've got this very serious take as the evil eye, and you haven't heard very much of it, but it's so good. So good.
No, actually, I'm trying to remember the movie, the movie that they did for the start of season 2. That was what, the first 3 episodes?
Yeah, the first 3 episodes.
Okay.
That is correct. Pretty sure it's the first 3. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the first 3. It felt like it was the first 4, but I guess just I don't know.
I mean, the only thing is, I still don't get why we did the sneak preview for season 2, but it was like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I had a blast with the episode, so that's my feelings on it.
It was a good episode. Had a lot going on. A lot of going on. Intense, hilarious, entertaining. What more could you ask for? So I don't know if you really got to talk about your feelings about season 1, Colt, but do you have anything?
It was
To
great.
say?
I love how they keep mixing it up between extraterrestrial and the spirits and the ghost aspect. It's trying to remember off the top of my head. I love the way it's all written up, and it actually works. Like it's not trying to overly explain everything, but it also goes out of its way to make certain aspects really, really like deep. Again, Acrobatic Silk is just such an amazing like fight slash explanation for the tragedy that is what created her. So it's just like, damn, you are tonal whiplashing this all over the place, and it works. It's like, here's this horrible, horrible thing. Yep, I can't fault the writing for it. But no, like season 1 was amazing. I was looking forward to season 2. I'm surprised we've been able to get Don on this quickly, to be frank.
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's what gets me the most about it is it was like we got season 1 like 6 months after it ended, and we got season 2 like what 3 months, or it may be a 6-month difference between the normal release and then what we get, which is impressive all things considered.
It was a bit longer in both cases, but really, semantics.
Yeah,
It was less than a year in both cases.
which is nice at the very least.
Yeah, it was a
Normally
great
we're waiting like 2 to
addition
3
last
because of
year,
licensing.
Yeah. I'm honestly very hopeful that the third season could come even faster, but I guess that
Hopefully,
depends.
unless people decide just to money roll the entirety of the rest of it, like Netflix did to JoJo, bastards.
Oh, we're not even going to talk about the whole thing with Steel Ball Run.
Heard things, but that's off topic.
Oh, and they thought that they couldn't get worse than what happened with Stone Ocean. It can always get worse. It can always get worse. Bah. Bah, 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 bah. Yeah. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful having Rooster Fighter and Dawn to Dawn back to back. Bach to Bach. I can't stop myself. Really, really good. Really solid hour. Steven, what are your thoughts on this episode of Dawn to Dawn?
I liked it. I mean, I like all anime. It's fun, something to watch. But it feels like there's something more there with each of the episodes. Like it's leading up to something. This one led up to um the Evil Eye appearing, which is a cool name for a villain. If he is a villain, I don't know if that is. It seems like he is a villain at this point. But I mean, I do like how he's all blue. I mean, it's leading into the blue lock, which I made the joke about that when I tweeted it out. But I mean, they're both soccer, and it's like he likes soccer, and it's like, man, this should have been blue lock right here. But yeah, it is cool. I I find it interesting that the Evil Eye started out as a kid, because like has like a very tragic past, and then just couldn't like everything they did went wrong. And I mean, like everything they tried to become friends with everyone, and like their aura surrounding them just said, "Okay, you're dead." Um, that family that's like protecting that village, they're not doing anything, because it does seem like that family's like didn't figure it out, but they're like, hey, that quells the volcano. And I think originally, right, it was a volcano that they were trying to quell, trying to stop it from taking off, or their ancestors at least, um, instead of this, Mongolian death worm. And that it was like it didn't go right or something. And it was like, I don't know. I don't know how that story went, but it it doesn't feel right that the kid got to be like sacrificed, because that was the only kid that didn't look normal or something like that, and they assumed because it was not normal, it caused all this stuff. And then years later, it's the undoing of their own pride and everything. It's like that's some karma right there. But then like just turning him into a soccer playing demon, it just flips the whole script. It is kind of cool, but it's also kind of sad that like now he gets to actually play and have fun, but it's all evil all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, the way he fights is with like a ball of energy, and he kicks it around like a soccer ball.
I do wonder, it does that serve like two purposes? Like, is it because he likes soccer and he idolized it all growing up and played it, so that's the only moves he knows? But then is that also him playing with the kid? Is that also him playing with this evil eye of saying, "I'll be your user, but I'll also be your friend, and we get to play together," and this is them playing together?
I think you're onto something. Yeah. I also think it's the evil eye like pulling from Gigi's own knowledge.
That's how I thought of it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the evil eye is currently in control,
Mhm.
as he explains to Momo. Yeah. Yeah, it's just it really is the 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 sad kid finally getting to play. But he's got so much pent up rage and all of the bad feelings and vibes from all the people that died in this house also fuel the negative energy around him.
One more thing, how did that, evil eye get, like, a bowl haircut? Didn't he have long hair? Like, who cut his hair?
Yeah, good question.
A part of me
And
wants to believe that he took the form of another kid,
Mm, yeah.
mm,
but I'm not entirely sure how that worked because it looked like in the flashback you had the original kid's body, and then at one point, once he realized he could play with the other kids, he possessed another kid who ended up being trapped in that area as well, and then he took its form. I'd have to rewatch the episode though.
Hmm, interesting.
yeah, one of those kids had a bowl cut, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dude
because
needs
I
to
think
put
that
some
was
more
the
clothes on too.
yeah, because
Man,
I
it's
I think that was the first form that he or the first person he possessed.
Mm.
it's so disturbing the way the spirit of the evil eye just wanted to reach out to these children and play, but it always ended up with their parents killing themselves.
Yeah.
And just ugh. That's a rough afterlife. But don't worry, we'll learn plenty more about the evil eye in the episodes to come. Though I think that's pretty much it for like the flashback showing its sad, sad backstory.
Did you, see all of season 2, Sketch?
I did.
Oh, okay, cool.
I did. And it's really good. There's some super fun stuff in it. It's going to be a nice treat reliving it on Toonami with all y'all. Fun stuff. So apologies if I forgot anything important. I was kind of speed rewatching this because I hadn't seen it in a year and I didn't watch it because I wasn't expecting to talk about this episode myself this week. But
He
we
thought
ball.
Kuro would do it, and then things happened, and then he has to make notes.
Yeah, it's all right. Between my own memory and Wikipedia, we get there. So after that solid hour of entertainment, Blue Lock. I don't want to be too down on Blue Lock. This was actually a pretty solid episode, I think.
It's just background to me now. Like,
Stuff happened.
I'll admit, like I gave it 6 episodes, and it's like cool idea. I can't connect with it on a like level like I did with like Dr. Stone or Food Wars, which is more or less similar concepts as I see them. I think it's mostly just because there's only maybe like one character that I care about, and that's Ego, and it's like I don't care about the main character or anyone on that team.
Exactly. You just want Ego's TED Talks.
Yeah, basically.
And thankfully, Ego's been not that present in the past several episodes, but we actually get some quality time in this episode where he's talking to Henri, which amounted to, no, you're wrong. Let me explain it to you. You sound like someone who's never been a champion. Like, you don't have to be so mean, man. She's helping you out and clearly invested in this whole project. Yeah. So back to that soccer game in episode 9, Awakening. Or we're awakening on the 9th episode. You probably should have done that a bit sooner, but all right. So Team V gets 3 goals. Nagi scores another goal using the same pass he did in the previous episode. And Zenitsu uses his super speed while taking advantage of the team's attention on Nagi to score from long range. Realizing that their tactics are not working, Team Z really starts falling apart. But Bachira awakens his monstrous self in the thrill of battle to send a message to Team Z and awaken their own hidden potential to become, quote unquote, super special. He's like, oh, they just made some super special goals. Well, I'm just going to have to make my own super special goal. So Bachira, being a master dribbler, dribbles past Rio, fakes out Zenitsu, and lobs the ball over Team V's goalkeeper to get 1 point on the board, prompting Team Z to follow Bachira's lead and evolve and awaken their own hidden abilities. So Kunigami scores from mid-range, which is beyond his regular range. And he has that moment where he's like, I don't know if I can make this, but I'm going to take the shot anyway. So he actually fools the goalkeeper due to the lack of spin on the ball and manages to get another point going into halftime. And as the second half begins, Gagamaru, the guy with like the bob on his head, who's got good extension, his shot is blocked by Zentetsu with Isagi taking the rebound, but Isagi hesitates, which allows Nagi to take the ball away. Meanwhile, Raichi's psyching out Rio, leading Rio to get a yellow card for elbowing Raichi. And Chigiri takes the free kick, taking advantage of his superior top speed that despite Zantetsu's own acceleration, he passes the ball to a distant spot on the pitch where only he can get the ball and ties the score 3-3 with 30 minutes left in the match. And I love that moment where Zantetsu's like, who you pass it to, man? Myself. Chigiri's great, actually. They're like, Chigiri and Bajira are highlights in this episode. I'm getting real frustrated with Isagi. He needs to be less in his head, I think. Even though his ability is to like survey the area and has good spatial whatever. Because Nagi's like messing with his head through this entire match. Because Nagi's like, I don't understand the point of you doing this, man. You're not good. Why don't you just quit? Because Nagi feels like anything that you're not good at or is hard is not worth doing. Which Isagi definitely disagrees with. But yeah, Isagi, you gotta have your own awakening. We've seen you with them crazy eyes before. We'll see what happens. So my observation here is, Bachira, where the hell was this like episodes ago? What do you? I know it's like it's do or die now because if you lose this game, you're out. But Where was this?
It builds dramatic tension.
Where was this? It's like he's been asleep for several episodes, and maybe that's actually the case. Because he showed some of this stuff like episodes ago, and then he hasn't really done it since until now. I'm like, all right, well, it's about time. Show us you're good for more than showing up with only a towel. No, not even a towel. That's his problem. He doesn't have a towel whenever he's in the locker room. This kid. This kid. Oh, huh. Kuro and I were both thinking that this is going to take multiple episodes, but I almost wonder if it's actually going to be over in the next one. But even though, yeah, there's only 30 seconds. There's only 30 minutes left in the match. You could easily get an episode and a half out of that.
Or if you really wanted to extend it, let's go Dragon Ball rules.
Yeah. Let's
The
go
game
Dragon
takes
Ball
7
rules.
episodes.
Gosh, I hope that never happens. It's like I might as well just be watching real soccer.
I mean, I wouldn't be
Real
surprised.
soccer is more interesting. I'm sorry.
Again, they're trying too hard to have too many. I personally I think there's too many players, but it's a soccer game, so it's like I can't really fault them for that. It's just like you're not giving me any good reason to give a shit about.
They're
any
even
of these
down
people.
one because of the traitor.
It's just like you're not giving me enough of a reason to want to care about these fucks. So yeah.
This is actually going way too well for them, considering they are playing 10 on 11. Like they should be struggling more, I think, because this team has won like really well against all the other teams they've played against so far. So this is not making sense. But clearly they are cocky and they think too highly of themselves, and they're getting taken down a peg. And Raichi psyching out Rio is so good. He's all like, "Oh, you can't get away from me, sucker. I don't like playing defense, but because I have to, I'm gonna make it awful for you." Way to go, Raichi. Way to step up. I haven't liked you very much so far. This is a nice moment. This is a nice moment. Steven, what are your thoughts?
You know what? It's a good episode because there's dramatic, building of like you knew kind of they were going to win or going to get close to winning. Who knows if if the show ends, then they didn't win, but they won. So that's why the show's continuing. It's some sound logic right there, some sound anime logic. Anyway, it's yeah, like you said, Sketch. It's like, where was this before? Where was all of this before? Like, you really didn't care. He needs to put a towel on in the locker rooms, show some decency out there. It's like, but where was all this power before? And it's like, I don't know. I guess they had to figure out what their weapons were, what their talents were. But I mean, some of these people knew what their talents were. Some of these, they figured it out, and it's like, yeah, I got it now. And it's like, did you just figure it out like in that 5 minute period, or did you just, were you like sleeping on it the whole time, and then you're just waiting for it to be activated or something? It's like it almost feels like superpowers at a certain point. But then Ego just watching all the matches on his Five Nights at Freddy screens. Like, who is he? Batman? Is he really Batman? Just watching all and analyzing it. Dude, he's like, I don't know, man. The show's interesting. I'm not into soccer, right? I'm not into soccer, so I can't like really like say that much of it. You know, I went to one soccer game in high school, and I just liked how they kicked the ball like half court. And I'm like, man, these players should have been on football teams because you know they would launch the ball up. I'm like, oh, they could have played for a different sport. It would have been fun. But I don't know. I, yeah, I don't know. I like how the show can get me into it at certain points, right? The animation's gorgeous, like I always say on here, but I mean, sometimes it's like there's like a flow state, kind of like you're in this flow state, you feel good about it, but then it's like it feels disjointed at points and everything. So
Yeah.
that's what I feel a little bit about it, and I feel like not the matches are the matches might be disjointed because the stuff in between is interesting enough to follow a little bit of it. When they start getting into math and like, you know, trying to figure out the best organization and plot to it, that's a little bit too deep for me. But when they start talking about like the development of it or like them trying to figure out what they are doing and everything, that's cool. But on the actual court, it does feel like a little bit of a slog. Like, you know, even though it's supposed to be exciting, it feels like they're not really doing anything at all. It's always one sided, right? It always feels like the other team's going to have the advantage in everything they do. And this team is so uncoordinated, so bad that it's almost by sheer luck that they win these games or at least get a score. And because the other team is like too powerful and they have to figure it out. And I guess it's them trying to figure out, you know, what their weapons are, but I don't know. I don't know. It's strange. I guess that's strange for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's strange.
I agree with it. I think I just got to the point where it's like, yeah, it's interesting, but you're not keeping me around long enough to want to care. So that's where I just kind of faded off because it's like, cool concept. You're just not engaging me enough outside of mostly just like the Dr. Stone Food War style. Like, let's go into the explanation, and then you get to the matches, and it's just like, okay, waiting for it, waiting for it. You're all assholes. I'm now asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the animation's great. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
the animation's great. I do see some people online talk about how the CGI when they're running and that or doing some other stuff that's like a blend of it doesn't work as well, and I can see a bit of it. But I still think the animation's great. What it's doing, it's great. It's telling a story. It just feels disjointed at times. It just feels like it's either disinteresting or it it feels like they're trying to tell too many things at once. Like every person is a protagonist, and
yeah,
every person needs to become this like star, but only one can become a star. It's the direct
yeah.
opposite of the ego
That
that they're
is
talking
kind of the
about.
plot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
The plot is become the main character.
yeah,
yeah, it's become the ultimate asshole main character. But yeah,
It's ultimate asshole warrior.
basically,
hey, we
yes.
finally got it.
Yeah, ultimate asshole warrior. That's the title of the episode.
Maybe. Yeah, you, you mentioned animation, and I just remembered something that it really. I mean, it wasn't bad, but it was definitely kind of rough in Rooster Fighter. The kittens CGI animation, they did not look quite right.
Yeah, it looked like they were slightly off. Not enough to where you'd like notice it, but there's definitely like the moment where it's like you look at KG, Elizabeth, and Piroko, and you see the cats, and you're like, something's off about the cats.
Something very off about the cats. Even the mother too. You know,
Yeah,
just something about it's not quite working. But the kittens in particular, it's actually really reminding me of the chicks that Pyoko grew up with, that they also look kind of, when they're animating tiny creatures, things don't seem to quite look as good as the big monsters and the Rooster and Elizabeth. But it's a minor minor nitpick. But getting a flashback to those Attack on Titan horses. CGI cats. CGI cat. Yeah, those are the episodes we were talking about. Kept it pretty brief and succinct. Somewhat Toonami related news, and I decided to save this for the end in case we had time that we could spare. Starting this Monday, the 13th, the 5 a.m. time slot will become Dragon Ball Z Kai again. But this time, it's not episode 1, it's episode 48, which means they got the rights back to 48 to some other point. An interesting choice. Oh boy, 5 a.m. So hopefully, if you cared, you've been watching Sailor Moon. It's what's been airing at 5 a.m. in the 5 a.m. hour. I think it got 2 runs, which is nice. They only have 46 episodes, so if you double them, that's the thing I don't quite understand. And I guess it's just the way they program TV these days, but wouldn't it make so much more sense to have 2 different shows at 5 a.m. instead of one show with 2 episodes? Especially if you don't have that many episodes to air. I'm just saying.
Have faith anything else would get the ratings?
But they keep changing the show.
Then they don't have faith in anything at that point.
Yeah.
What do we have that we can throw on there? I don't know. Get a dart. Chucks it. Boink. All right, that show.
I mean, yeah.
What do we have that we have reruns on? This show. Throw it on 5 a.m. Splat.
And they had Daima, and they had Sailor Moon, and now they're having Kai again. But this time they spent some kind of money to get 48 to probably the end of the Cell saga. So not any of the Boo stuff, but probably the end of Kai, so to speak, which I think is 98. So 48 to 98. Probably. I mean, it would be really strange if they got less than that. It would also be pretty strange if they got more than that and not all of it. And I do wonder if they're just going to have that batch and never go back to episode 1 because they're starting in the middle of Goku fighting Frieza. That's a strange place to start. That's an even stranger place to start than when Goku was fighting Jason Burter. That's a classic. But my other thought is, if you're going to spend money on this, and I guess I'm assuming that they're spending money on this because I don't know how else they get the rights to it back, but if you're going to spend something on this, why are you throwing it on at 5 in the morning instead of 5 in the evening? Or 6 in the evening?
God, I want to make a joke about Toonami Rewind, and I can't right now.
They brought back Checkered Past because they seemingly had no other option.
Again, this is why you don't let Adult Swim have anything past like 10 o'clock. Mind you, both networks don't have anything from 5 to 10 at that point.
I know, and this would have been a great time to give 5 p.m. hour or more back to Cartoon Network, because in May, they're going to be airing new episodes of regular show. And according to the schedule, that's going to be on a Monday is when it starts. So we're looking at 4 p.m. It's not the worst time slot, but sure doesn't seem like a premiere time slot.
On 4.
the classic 4 p.m. time slot where every adult who watched the regular show back in the day is not working at all and just sitting around.
Oh, again,
Let's be real. They're
instances.
just gonna watch it on demand and watch it on. It actually. This is interesting. Supposedly, it will premiere on Cartoon Network internationally. It will premiere on Cartoon Network in the U.S. and it won't come to Hulu and HBO Max until later this year. That's interesting.
Interesting.
Hmm.
So
That's
they're
an
actually giving it a
interesting
hard
choice.
Cartoon Network focus then.
I guess so, but not if
Which
they're
is-
like throwing it out at 4 p.m. daily to burn it off. But I don't know.
I guess again the question comes down to is, are they trying to appeal to the younger audience, their actual audience, or is it a case of Tsunami Rewind where it's we're going to try to technically appeal to the older audience by making it like this, but we're going to put it in the worst possible time slot. This to me
Well-
almost seems more like they're trying to get the younger audience to watch, but who knows?
I think they are trying to get the younger audience to watch. They sent Gumball to Hulu, and I think they regretted that decision because they still play
that's surprising.
Gumball constantly on Cartoon Network, but they don't have access to the new episode. They didn't want the same thing to happen with regular show, is my guess.
Probably.
Which, hey, cool.
I mean, lesson
I'm
learned
for
at the
it.
very least.
Giving me a reason to hold on a sling beside watching Toonami and Adult Swim.
I mean, if they really wanted to, potentially get a kid audience back, there are plenty of shows that have aired via independence. Like I don't know, I Don't Want to Be a Magical Girl.
Hmm.
I think that's
I
the
don't-
right name.
I don't know if they could
Pretty-
get independent shows, but that would be something.
I don't. Well, I know episode 1's done. I think they've done episode 2, but it's only just been like very loose, like rough sketches. So they could potentially bankroll, but I don't know exactly how that would work. But it's like y'all had an invincible fight, girl. This is similar. Take the advantage and bankroll it. Or are you gonna be stupid again?
Let's be stupid
Well,
together.
More than likely.
Boy, the scheduling department is doing some weird things lately. But some of it's interesting. I find it interesting that they're going back to Dragon Ball. Clearly it worked. Clearly it did well enough that they thought it was worth doing. But it's odd that their decision is it's worth doing at 5 a.m. in the morning, but not worth doing any other time.
Don't have faith it'll get the ratings.
Well, when it's up against all those Fox shows, no wonder.
Can't go wrong with dumpster diving.
Can't go wrong with any Dragon Ball at 5 a.m.
People clearly watch it. It's almost a wonder that they deviated to Sailor Moon for a time. But I
Do you think-
appreciate that they did.
Do you think they're just putting it on to get the streaming up?
Probably.
Do you think because they're going to get some people watching it like at 5 a.m. But do you think they're just putting it on so they can get the streaming services so people can stream that whenever they want?
Wouldn't
Maybe.
put it past them.
Like, we don't even know if these episodes will go up on Adult Swim's on demand. Because it's not a sure thing that they will.
Depends on how the licensing agreements work out. It could just be television reruns. It could be a larger package.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you what they should be doing. They should be rerunning Bleach 1,000-Year Blood War on weekday morning.
They could be getting
Yeah.
a lot of reruns in various time slots and be more viable.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just, go like, just make another pseudo Toonami block, right? I can just run all the shows and see if we can catch another audience.
Yeah.
Like actually shoot for the younger demographic by showing the shows that are supposed to be for that younger demographic.
Yep.
Not throw Sailor Moon on at like 5:30, expecting the adults to watch when they're still at work. Morons.
Cool. Well, yeah. If you care, DBZ Kai is back starting next Monday, 5 a.m. Neat.
You happen to wake up that early, or
Some people do.
been staying up that whole night.
Some people do. There is a history of that time slot working for alternative content, but I don't know. I still really think they should be sticking it on at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m.
Oh yeah, no, I'll absolutely agree with that. Again, we had Toonami Rewind. It was a good idea. They just didn't use it well, in my opinion.
Agreed. Probably also would have helped if it started at 6 p.m. instead of 5.
Or if they were intending to go for the younger audience, you would have pushed it to 4 o'clock. Again, what was your audience at that point?
Indeed. Well, enough about that. You have any thoughts on anything going on Toonami, you can email us at podcast@toonamifaithful.com. You can follow us on facebook.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast and on Twitter @Toonami Podcast. You can listen to the podcast on just about everything, including Apple Podcasts, Castbox, Deezer, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Podbay, Podbean, Podcast Addict, Radio.com, Spotify, and the TuneIn app. And you can also find every episode of the podcast to stream online at the same place they found the encrypted clinical trials on Lazarus, soundcloud.com/Toonami Faithful Podcast. Get the latest news by following @ToonamiFaithful.com on Blue Sky and @Toonami News on Twitter. And read the news, views, and reviews on ToonamiFaithful.com. Colt, tell the folks where they can find you.
Twitter, Blue Sky @AmbientVirus, twitch.tv/LifeVirus. I just got done playing the Sam & Max remasters, so either I jump into Puzzle Agent, although it depends on when they release it, because Skunk Ape Games just re-released Poker Night at the Inventory 1, so there's a decent amount of hope they might go and remaster some of the other older Telltale games. So it's either that or it would probably be whatever else I have in the backlogs of my Steam account that I need to try and stream more often. But that's it.
All right. Steven, tell the folks where they can find you.
You can find me on like every social media platform under MXA Ghost. I'm thinking about doing stuff, and I might post it online. Other than that, I don't know.
And you can find me on Twitter at Sketch1984 and on Blue Sky Sketch1984. You can look me up. I have appeared on the 2 most recent episodes of Simuldub Saints, Laser Kid, and Arcs podcast. The first one's the Freyren episode. That'll be out first. And the one after that will be the seasonal overview, talking about all the simuldubs that will be starting for the spring season of anime. Good times all around. And I was also on the latest episode of the Toonami Squad podcast sessions, where we talked about Primal, we talked about Bleach, we talked about Warner Brothers Discovery and Paramount and all that stuff. So you could find that on their YouTube and their podcast feed. Thanks for the invite, guys. Yeah. Actually, Colt,
Yes.
let's take a moment. I'd like to hear your thoughts on Primal Season 3.
It's good. I still am a little why we another version of the secret ending from the Samurai Jack game, but I mean, like as a whole, the season's fine. I still kind of don't get the whole resurrection plot with Spear and all of that, but as a whole, it's okay because at the very least, it expands upon what we would have expected within the context of a season 3. It's just like I would have rather had it been focused more on Mira than on Spear, and Spear would have been more of like a sudden reveal sort of thing. Because then it would have been like, wait, what the fuck? And then you kind of like speed run what they did in the first part of the season, because it would have been nicer to have followed Mira and the tribe rather than Spear being resurrected by a random old guy violating some weird taboos. Good season, just really feels like a Jack 5 all over again, where it's like some section of the fan base didn't like it, so he was just like, well, I'll just give you the good ending then. It's like, I don't feel like Primal needed that, though. Season 2 ended just fine.
Yeah.
But that's me.
That's
I mean,
fair.
good.
I
Great
would have
series.
liked to see a season that focused on Mira and the villagers and the baby dinos. I think that
That's
could
what I
have
was
been
hoping
good.
for. But it's just like, nope, we're just gonna follow Undead Spear, and then somehow he regains his humanity. So we're not gonna talk about the fact that like whatever that old man did to Spear is basically a form of true resurrection. We're not. No one. Okay. How do you grow his hand back even?
Very good question.
It's like, Genny, like I love you, but bro, like try to stick to an ending. Like I had my problems with the original jab, but I was like, fine, you know what? I understand it. It was a kick
It
to
was
his dick, though.
bittersweet, but
Like I said on Twitter, like had Ashi had died sooner, I would have accepted what he did. The fact that she dies at the wedding like months later was like, come on, bro. Why you gotta kick Jack in the dick like that? It's a story about sacrifice. There's a difference. Jack had the win. Why did you take away the win that late? So yeah, the secret ending being technically canon's like cool. Both endings are canon because it's all time, bullshit. Primal's more like, well, you know what, we're just gonna revive him anyways. Why? Season 2 ended just fine. Like, it makes sense. It's not like you're dicking the crowd over. You mean, he still banged Mira at the end. Either way, no.
more like
great
she banged
season.
him.
True. But like great series. It's just it's a weird season to like quote unquote end it off of, unless he decides to do a season 4, but I really don't see what you're doing as part of a season 4 unless you're gonna focus on the kid.
Which is the thing he intended not to do. But maybe
Yeah.
he'll change his mind.
Honestly, I'd rather see him make something else, because Kenny's always been good with doing stuff. I mean, weirdly, I wouldn't mind him going back to Unicorn, but I doubt that. But, I mean, whatever he comes up with, I'll always watch it. It's Tartakowski.
True. I mean, I want Safari Heist, the story about the Frog Brothers heist, and it's like musically and jazz. Like, I want that. Give me that. I need that right now.
I'll look that one up. I haven't heard about that one.
I also, well, it's been debated whether or not it's a real thing, because he kind of jokingly pitched it at Annecy like 2 years ago, but he did mention it again at Annecy or wherever he talked about things more recently. So it's still kicking around in there. But
you're telling me there's a chance.
You're telling me there's a chance. But yeah, he really should do another season of Unicorn, because you can't end that way. You cannot end that story like that.
Honestly though, that show got screwed over so hard.
Yeah. They actually reran it recently, if I may. Which is better than nothing.
Yeah, it's
they
better
did the
than
same
nothing.
thing with Fight Girl. Again, I question the wisdom. When it's a 10-episode show, and you decide to double it up as an hour block early on a Sunday morning, you have 5 weeks and then you have to start over or switch. Why not do 10 weeks, one show? Just saying.
Who knows?
Makes
Programming
way
be
more
weird.
sense to me.
Programming be weird.
I guess
God,
it's
I
an
feel so
attention
sorry for
span
Invincible
thing.
Fight
Oh,
Girl.
we can keep people's attention for an hour for 5 weeks, but we can't do it for 10. I mean, fair enough. 10 weeks does feel like a long time for a rerun that you could easily watch on HBO Max if you have it.
Weeks feels like a long time for anyone way too used to 1-minute clips on TikTok.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I just thought it'd be good to hear your thoughts on Primal.
Oh, yeah, no.
Since
No.
you're here and you didn't get the opportunity before.
Again, great series, okay season, questionable for the reasonings behind it, but whatever.
Okay. Thank you all for listening, whether you tuned in to the live stream or you're listening to the podcast after the fact. We always appreciate your listenership. Please share the podcast with your friends if you think they would be interested. And until next time, ain't got no time for bird sex. Ain't got no time for bird sex. That's not a real song. It is a real song.
You're becoming as weird as Darrell, I swear to God, sometimes.
Get off your ass, pigeon, just like the old song say. Ain't got no time for bird sex, gotta fly. Ain't got no time for bird sex, I wanna fly.
Okay, that can't be a song.
Yeah, that was a song. Ain't got no time for bird sex, man. Yes, don't have no time for bird sex. Just tell me one more time, girl. I'd rather lie or die, girl. No more time for bird sex. Yeah.
No, sex. You gotta get some sex in there.
Bird sex, huh?
No, not bird sex. I don't wanna read about bird sex. I'm a man.
Bird sex. It reminds me of that old song.
Giddy up, Carmack McConaughey.
Got no time